Good morning to the Barbados Beach House. Sorry I've not checked in for quite some time. Just thought I'd check in on a lovely Sunday morning in the Caribbean. Beautiful blue skies, and give you an update. To those veteran subscribers, how are you? Hope you're all well. Sorry I've not been on for some time. And anybody that's new to the channel watching the videos, welcome. This is where we just literally give you a bit of an overview of some of the things we've been doing to a home that we built in the Caribbean, and some of the trials and tribulations of trying to keep that house operational in what is probably the most brutal climate, I think, probably in the world actually. But yeah, it's entertaining. But there's been some things that have happened on the house in the last 4 to 8 weeks. You would have seen a video loaded today, which was a video we did about 2 months ago that was just about a bit of rain, and that was just before we started doing the floor and the basement just over here. So for those of you who don't know, the house itself has got a downstairs basement area, and we chose not to really do anything with it. It was just a storage area, but recently we decided to get it plastered and get it finished off. Probably would have been better to do that whilst the house was being constructed, but budget and funds and needs, etc., meant we didn't do that. So yeah, we've recently put some time and effort into getting that finished off. So that's now going to create plasterboarding and painting and loads more work that technically didn't need to be done. But it'd be good to show you how we're getting on with that in the moment. I think the last video I showed, I think we might have just done the floor. And the one I loaded today was just about the rain we had and how that affected. And the reason why the video didn't carry on, by the way, is that when I got to the steps, I looked downstairs and the basement was actually flooded in about 1.5 inches worth of water. So one of the problems we have here, because we're so close to the sea, we're obviously very close to the water table. When there's lots and lots of rain in the Caribbean, we have these things called wells, which is like that one over in that corner there. And like a massive lavatory, what happens is the water elements of the septic tank pour into the well, and then the tide comes up and basically goes up and down and washes it in and out. But when the table's really high, that doesn't happen, obviously. So the water from humans has nowhere to go. So what happens is the septic backs up, and then the septic makes the manholes back up, and then everything else backs up. So what we had there was a massive amount of rain coming down, high water table, backed up wells and manholes. And what that did, in fact, is I flooded into the basement of where we actually had the concrete laid. It helped keep the concrete cool. And it did show us what level of flooding we would get if we had a rain like that. So I'll show you that in a second as well. And this, by the way, this video, you might have seen on the last video, it's a bit temperamental, this software I'm using to record. When you spin it back and forth from selfie mode, etc., it seems to sometimes turn me into a foreign person with lip syncing. So I'm sorry if that happens again. I certainly will try to limit spinning around and stuff like that in hope that doesn't happen. So anyway, what am I going to do now? I'm going to quickly take you downstairs and show you the plastered rooms we had done. That was only finished on Friday, so there's a bit of an aftermath down there of clearing up, which is going to take place this week. Then I'm going to show you the work we're going to do thereafter. Before I carry on gabbling, if you don't mind, give me a thumbs up if you're new to the channel, and certainly if you're a veteran to the channel. And subscribe. I am going to upload all the old videos that we've done from the build from the very beginning. You might have seen at the moment there's probably about, I don't know, 200 videos, something like that. We've actually got about 1,000, so we took some down because it was so monstrous. But at some stage in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to load the whole lot, so you can literally see from putting the spade in the ground in June 2021 right through to where we are today. You can see the whole lot. And also, before I start talking, Philip Reynolds in the house. Hope you're well, buddy. Thanks for the chase up on the videos. Apparently, these are called Alvin porn. People miss them apparently, and I spoke to my mum this morning. She said she misses them. So Mum, hope you're doing well. Phil, hope you're doing well. And everyone else out there that I know around the world that sometimes checks in and watches these, I hope you're all doing well as well. But one thing I want to show you before I go downstairs is my wife has been busy with green fingers. We've had a treatment put on the grass to kill all of the actual roots. I can see them all yellow and curled up, so fingers crossed they're going to die. And we've had lots of different plants put in now around the outside. And they're all going to start taking, and we've got elephant ears in this corner over here, can't see on the video, but and we've actually moved this tree in the middle was a cut, and we had it in the side there. We've moved that to the middle, and it seems to be okay. It's been there for about 2 weeks now, and it doesn't seem to be dead. So fingers crossed she's going to flourish into a lovely tree at some stage that will give us a nice canopy of shade. We might be able to sit down on the grass and enjoy the grass. So yeah, we're going to be getting a lawnmower in and doing a bit of an English thing on it, get some stripes going, get some good lawn feed going, and hopefully these bushes we've put in will mature and turn this into a lovely space. Right, let's have a look downstairs. Come and see my aftermath. Now, one thing we are going to do is we're removing the drain from the patio top here, which I'm going to show you in a second. But what you are seeing here is the aftermath of me plugging that up. So we do have a bit of a pond here, look. If you remember, some of you from the old, when we actually did the original build here, we realised that we had a bit of a flooded area there. So we drilled a hole in the surface and we put a drain running through the ceiling. Well, that has unfortunately got to be removed now that we're actually doing down here, which I'll show you in a second. And we've got to try and put a thinner pipe in so we can hide it in the ceiling void. But as you can see in here, the ceiling has got all the actual conduits in now for the first fix of the electrics. The red cabling is going to be the data cabling. We're going to be having a data hub here, and we've had to reroute it all now here. So before it was running through the corner a bit too low, and it was obviously going round this way here, around this wall here. So we're now going to be running it across the wall behind me, and then T-junction in here straight to this way to put a dome, and then running it all the way around into the cottage, because 3 of these cables are for the camera systems and the internet systems for the cottage for guests. As you can see, the walls, let me just give this camera quickly, I think it's okay, but... So the walls themselves have all been plastered. Again, I'm trying not to spin the camera around and turn myself into a foreign person. So we've re-drilled up here, we've re-drilled through the columns, so eventually this red cable will come through the column above and go straight into this hole above here into the cottage next door. Before, it was right over here, really low for some unknown reason. These pipes here are going to be for extractors, so we can actually get some the moisture and the air circulated. So one will be one will be out. We've got one over here, I think you're just about to see it there, and we've got one here. So one's going to be pulling air in, one's going to be pushing air out. All the way around here, we've got some sockets. All of it, this area here has been made to be an apartment. As you can see down here, we've had this finished off to make it a bit nicer, but this will be the ground platform that eventually the shower system, the toilet system, and the sink system will sit in. And from this column here will be, I might have to get this turned around, guys. So sorry if I turn into a lip-syncing individual. Bear with me a second. Okay, we spun around. I don't know. Well, I'm not lip-syncing because you can't see me, so fingers crossed it'll all line up. So we can't plaster behind there, but as you can see, all the actual sockets are in the wall. This will eventually be, if we turn this into an apartment down here, that will be a kitchen area, that will be a bathroom, that will be a bedroom. But at the moment, we're just going to turn this into one empty room. Extractor obviously coming in and out. As you can see, we've got power above. So one will be in reverse, one will not. These will be plasterboarded. This will be plasterboarded initially. So this will all be plasterboarded and skimmed and painted in white. The mains electric fuse board is over here for the apartment itself in case we ever want to turn it into one. All the lighting, all of the power, air conditioning, etc. will run from here. As you can see, we've taken, there used to be a pipe here that used to come up the wall and come over here and connect to the one above. So that's the reason why we've got the swimming pool upstairs, is because we've capped that off for now. What we're going to be doing is running a 3/4 stroke inch to 3/4 elbow here and running that along, and we'll be punching through the wall here, and that should keep us above the ceiling void, and that will connect into a pipe we've got on the next area, which I'll show you in a second. So that means that we'll be able to plasterboard in here, have all the lighting system put in, and be cleared where this is concerned. As you can see, we'd be dropping down by about 4 inches if we keep it the way it is. However, it would be good to keep the volume, because that's 2 inch. It definitely sometimes can take 2 inches, that's for sure. Things like this, unfortunately, are going to be as they are, because that eventually would be the electrics that would feed this wall. If this was ever turned into a room, there would be power on this wall. So we've got things, unfortunately, like that have had to be put in case that ever happens. So we might have to look at potentially trimming that in some stage. But eventually, obviously, what would happen is electrics would come through here, and then there'd be plug sockets on this wall. This socket here and this socket here would be if there was a bed in the middle, that's where the bed would be. Obviously the two side sockets. And again, same thing over here, you've got a conduit coming out the wall like that, because eventually this would be a wall going across to the column here, and that's the electrics that would feed that wall if you wanted, for instance, to have a TV on the wall here in front of a bed. That's all for that sort of stuff. So we're trying to sort of prep in case it ever does get used and does turn into an apartment, but at the moment that's not what it's for. So we've had to put some infrastructure in that's relevant to it being an apartment, just in case it ever does become one. This is where the actual hot and cold pipes were, if you remember rightly. We've run them into the floor. They're diagonally going straight over to over here. So that's fed from the main house at the moment. And again, we are looking at changing the plumbing in the house to put the power on it, number one. So we're putting pumps on, we're putting expansion tanks and circulation technology. We're trying to put that in there to try and turn it into a water system that deserves to have. Next door, we did next door as well at the same time. So again, aftermath, still need to do some clearing up. We still need to do some repairing, but down here's been plastered as well. This is where obviously we're going to be T-junctioning in here at the moment. This is another patio drain. So we'll be T-junction into here next week and getting that connected. That will be the pipe from upstairs that's got the ponding coming into here. And at the moment we have no choice but to leave it where it is, but we've capped off where it was next door. So now obviously what we can do in this room, that's been finished off anyway, but we can now get those up into the roof and this can all be gutterless. In here we've got to sort this out. This is the overflow for the air conditioning units. That's going to be ripped out in the next couple of days, because what we're going to be doing is that's the condensation for the main house itself. I wonder what he's done with that. I think he's got that going into buckets. So normally we've got some see-through piping like this here. So this is 3/8 plastic. That's the condensation pipes that pump down to this tube. This one is missing, so I'm assuming, never assume, but I'm assuming he's taken that one out of this hole because it wasn't here, and he's probably got it around here going into a bucket. Oh, there it is. It's a big bucket. Okay, so we got, at the moment he's routing it in here. So what we're going to be doing with these is taking them up and over behind here, come along here, and then we'll literally T-junction them into probably this one here, which is to the dishwasher. So that just means that out here, we'll be able to completely remove this horrible bit of pipe that's been taken away from the wall so they can plaster, but at the moment it's connected to go outside. So this can all go, but I did say about removing it so it didn't land up being all messy like this. Again, this is the Starlink cable. They've concrete that in, so that's going to do CanGoed. And we have to remove this, and that hole will be plastered up as well, and this will all be finished off nicer, because at the moment it's not looking too pretty for some unknown reason. So I don't know what happened there. It looks like there was a bit of a rush to get out. This, unfortunately, we did have time to do. This should have been chased into the wall here. So we're going to have to look at chasing that in and chasing this cable all the way down. As you can see, they've plastered that in the wall. So that's going to have to be chased out and put into the wall. I'm not having that surface mounted. It looks awful. So that's going to have to be done. And within reason, this whole area down here, it's been plastered, bar that wall. So from that part there all the way down, that's what backs onto the swimming pool. So that's obviously not been plastered, but everything else has. But it does mean we're going to have to sand down all of the water seal marks. As you can see, all these white drip marks, that's where all the waterproof is actually sealed against the pressure of the swimming pool. As you can see, it's following the line of the pool itself. So that's all going to have to be sanded down. And eventually what we'll do in here, we'll just spray everything white. So a little bit of a clean-up exercise, but this will all be white at some stage. So it'll just be a white, empty room. And I think this is where we're going to store most of the equipment that we actually have for the house. So the tools and everything else, this is where we'll pretty much store all of that. So we'll empty what's inside here, which is the main basement. As you can see, we've got scaffolding and all sorts in there. So that'll all come out and probably be stored in here. We'll keep the downstairs empty, and this will become sort of a more usable area. So it does get quite warm down here because obviously the slab itself gets quite warm above from the sun. So we'll have to put some insulation panels into here before we plasterboard it. I did ask on one of the previous videos, anybody that's got any suggestions about how to insulate this. People don't tend to insulate in Barbados. Number one, because it's very warm. And normally people insulate against keeping the cold out, whereas we're the opposite. We've got to keep the cold in. And insulation is so light and big, the import is so expensive, they don't tend to bring it in. So the only thing I can think about doing is bringing in the air conditioning sheets, which tend to be on the office quite a lot, which is this silver boxing, this stuff. So this is like an insulation board. It's about 1 inch thick, about 3/4, sorry. And it's got a silver foil either side. So I was thinking about bringing that in the standard sort of 8x4 sheets, and maybe slicing it up and putting it in here. Do I create a cavity between the concrete and the insulation sheet, or do I stick it straight on the ceiling? Let me know in the comments below. I'm under the impression you should always try and keep a product away from the surface if you're trying to insulate, rather than putting it on it. But then on the warm roof systems in England, they do tend to glue it straight on. So let me know in the comments below, what do? Do I create a couple of little packers in there and keep it away from it? Or do I stick it straight onto the ceiling? Once that's done, obviously, it's plasterboard and it's lights. So here we'll have the internet dome and the first light. There'll be a second light here, so we're literally going to have 9 lights in this area here, and then it will be about the same over there, but differently separated. Things like this obviously are going to be the conduits that would be the light switches going into rooms. So again, we're going to have those put into up here somehow and cut back. So anyway, that's down here. That's what we've really been getting ourselves stuck into. Let me see if I can spin around without turning into a foreign person. Bear with me. So hopefully I'm talking okay without lips moving and sound coming out. Done a quick pause. Yeah, there's still some finishing off bits like here. This was a big bit to fill, so they filled that quite quickly and they put some lines on it. They've got to come back and put those in. And then here, these 2 doors here, we're probably going to be putting 2 glass French doors in there to let as much light in as possible. But we're going to have to sort out something down here. Yeah, as I said, when we had that rain, we had about 1 inch, 1.5 inches of water in here. So we've got to try and work out how to stop that moving forward. Obviously, we don't want it, if this is going to be a storage room, we don't want it getting water in. So we're going to have to work out how, do we put a threshold there? Do we get some form of canopy that goes over here to stop the water coming down? The main problem at the moment is that you can't really see it. Let me get a bit closer. Can you see it now? No, you can't. So that plug there, being the lowest point in the whole system, we're finding that most of the water coming into this building is coming from that backup. So in an ideal world, we need to find some form of plug that goes in there, and I think some form of canopy, and that will stop the problem. But as you can appreciate, quite a large issue to contend with. So that's pretty much where that's concerned. And obviously we've got this tunnel up here. So we've still got to get the ponding situation sorted out here. That pretty much shows you the level of the problem that we have with how much this concrete is sunk with the weight. So where I'm concerned, you know, at some stage we do need to get some products put over here to try and level this out. We shouldn't be getting water sitting there. So we've got a weight issue. And how deep are we? I'm in the middle now, and it's about 3/4 of an inch deep. So again, like the roof upstairs, we need to find a product that we can put down that level lays, that bonds to old concrete, that's going to land up securing 18 to 25 mil. So on that note, I did update on a couple of other videos that we've been looking at some English products. Ardex do one, I think it's called K301. That's the one I think I'm going to be ordering from England. So it's they do use a priming process. So you are making the surface porous by sanding it down and putting some acid on it, making sure it's completely dust free, and then they have a rolled on primer that you sort of slightly water down and roll on, and then within an hour you literally pour the Ardex straight over it. So it's just straight into a bucket, add water, mix, pour, and the level lay does its own thing. So but they're 2 quite big surfaces. You can see there, you're probably talking 15-18 foot by about 15 foot. I mean, you're talking about 3/4 of an inch to an inch. So you are going to have to try and mix up 2 bags at the same time, 2 20 kilo bags, or if you're in the Caribbean or America, 55 pound bags. You're gonna have to mix those at the same time. You're gonna have to pour, and then you're gonna have to get mixing quite quickly again, you know. So you're gonna have to pour it down quite quickly. We have the joy of sun. The downside to that is you have a real lack of time to get things down before they start curing and drawing. So yeah, that's going to be quite entertaining. There is a company a guy on the island I found that does some good work. Paul, if you're watching, hopefully I'm going to get in bed with him on that, not literally. But yeah, so he does some driveways and he does some surfaces like that. So he preps up concrete surfaces. So I've been talking to him about doing two things. One, bringing in the product to do the ponding on the roof, and I'll get him involved in doing the patio if that's what we're going to do. So I need to bring in enough Ardex to do that. Then we need to bring in a roofing rubber to make sure we can go over the top of the roof, and then we've got to think about what we're going to put on this one here as well. At some stage in the future we want to put something white on here to reflect the heat. One, because of downstairs, and two, because it's just hard to walk on. So again, we're looking for some form of surface that can be white that we can pour, that will also not react with the environment being outdoors. So again, in the comments below, guys, if you let me know of any other products you can think of. I've been thinking of maybe an epoxy of some sort, but again, it's got to have a grip, can't be slippery. And ideally we want it a very light grey stroke off-white. Again here, if it's too white, like the walls here, I mean, if you stand on it, if you're in it too long and then you go somewhere there's a lack of light, you can't see anything at all. So it needs to be more of an off-white or an off-grey to reflect the heat but not blind you to death. So again, in the comments below, if anybody's got any suggestions, let me know. We definitely need to do that. And I've also been talking to Paul about potentially looking at the driveway, because the driveway is pretty awful. How do we shave that back, cut that back, make it into a bit of a feature? Whether we cut them into slabs, the concrete this is, into sort of slabs to make it look like stones, and then put some artificial grass in between, or do we bring in resin stones from England or America? Do we resin stone it and bring it to life? Again, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you guys prefer? Let me take you around very quickly and show you the space, obviously. It's a big space and it's just ugly. It's just one big concrete horribleness. So in an ideal world, we do need to try and bring it to life. As you can see, it's just one massive, great concrete jungle. So again, it's not running very well, so it needs to be taken back that way, this way. So in an ideal world, you can see by the steps over here, you can't see in the sun, you can see here, the gap is higher here than it is here. The driveway is actually running backwards, which, as you can appreciate from a flooding point of view, is not doing me any favours, that's for sure. So we need to try and shave the actual driveway to ensure we can create the run aiming towards the gate. And then all of this here, including what I'm standing on, including in front of the steps over there, needs to look pretty. So the only thing we can do really is resin stones. Resin stones look amazing. I mean, you guys probably know, if I can find it and do it, I'll attach a picture there so you can see what I mean. So, but it's very small stones. You can pick the colour, you put them into an epoxy glue, and they stick. You know, they look great. So that really would help finish all of this off. And then tiling those steps. So I think tiling those steps, dealing with the gutter on the front door, which is another thing I'll show you in a second. I've got someone that's meant to be quoting me. Dion, if you're watching this, get your finger out, buddy. Jesus, I've been stalking you for 2 months now. I'm after a linear drain, 6 inches wide. I think if I put a linear drain in front of that door or behind that door, it will solve the issue that I have at the moment, obviously, of north winds suddenly driving rain underneath our doorway. So if I put a linear drain in there, obviously the rain will drive underneath and go straight into the drain, and the linear part of the drain I can have tiled, or I can have poured with concrete, and that will obviously make it not stand out so much, but create, if you like, a 3-inch wide by 6 foot trap of catching that water before it goes underneath. Now the only issue I do have, because it's a pivot door, you've got the hinges in this corner here, so I can't go under the door and hide it. So I'm going to have to choose to go in front of the door or behind the door. Now in an ideal world, I don't want the water going in, so it should be in front. But then it's going to be ugly. So again, let me know in the comments, do I put the linear drain in front of the door or behind the door? And then what I can do is I can punch it through this wall here, just there, which will come out on this side. So that's one solution I do have. Other than that, it's changing the door, which without being rude, it's a bit of a big door. 10 foot by 6 foot to be precise. So I'd much rather not have to mess around with that if I can help it. So again, let me know in the comments below, what do you reckon I should do? Personally, handmade linear drain, cut it into the actual, the surface here, have it running from 1 inch to 3 inches, 4 inches there, so when it does go in, it's got a nice run going that way. Punch it straight out of the wall. That means that I can't stop the water coming, but I can catch it and get rid of it. And then I want some really nice beach effect, sky bluey, sky greeny and white, Victorian looking tiles on here. If anybody's got any ideas where to get some tiles from, and ideally thin ones, not thick ones, and I don't mind if they're, you know, a new modern version rather than the old sort of ceramic stuff. I'm thinking Victorian beach look. So is there a Victorian sort of type pattern I can go for that's got some nice sky blue or sky, you know, that sort of pastel greens, that sort of palette? We might be able to find something that can go on there that really does look beachy but nice and modern with a bit of a Victorian pattern. Let me know. And there's loads of places in England. I'm sure you guys that watch the channel all the time can give me some suggestions. We got these are amazing. We got a few of these. Koymans, $150. Exactly the same colour as the walls. So they're huge. Bear in mind, it's quite a big house. So it's been quite nice. We've got some really nice plants going on now. These are going to grow into some amazing plants. This one, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a beautiful pink flower on this one. And one thing we did do the other day, which I was supposed to take you to, was I mentioned about the leaks that we found downstairs. You're never going to believe this. We literally landed up taking up all of this. We thought that the water was coming through here and coming through the front of the house somehow, either through the gutters that were coming out of the walls, or the sewage, or the traps, pipes coming out and connecting. So we pulled all this grass back, we dug it all back up again, we had a quick look, we couldn't see anything at all. It landed up, I had a bit of a eureka moment. There's 4 conduits up on the roof, which I'm not too sure if you can see them from here now because I've actually cut them back. But they were there for the solar. So for the feeds to go up to the ceiling, to the solar panels this is, and the electricity to come back down to the inverters, we had 4 conduits put up there. Now, they were put up there when the house was built initially, and unfortunately, as they sometimes do, tradespeople cut a few corners. Rather than putting some caps on there, and ideally gluing the caps on, they put masking tape on them. Now, those 4 pipes come down into the basement here, just in this corner here, but they're in the cavity, they're not broken out in the moment. So when I'm down there looking at the leak, I can't see these 4 pipes. Well, I had a eureka moment. I thought, I wonder if it's those pipes that are right there. I'm pretty sure I've seen pipes. So I'll go up there, they're still taped up, but they've been up there 3 years now. So the duct tape has broken down. The water was coming down those 4 pipes and flooding the actual cavities, and moving all the way along in 3 different areas. We thought we had 3 different leaks from 3 different sources, and it landed up after I changed that duct tape for more duct tape, which we have bought the caps now, we will put caps on them. It lands up that the leaking has stopped. So it looks like our problem was that we had 4 conduits up there, and they're 1-inch ones. So there's 4 roughly 4 1-inch pipes up there for conduits for the solar that have just basically been pouring water straight into our cavities downstairs in the basement. So since I've done that, the water's stopped, the leaking stopped, the manhole was, we got a sump hole down there, that stopped filling with water. We even started thinking it was coming from the sump. We're like, how the hell's this water getting to the sump? And it looks like that's what it was. So we were able to put all the mud and the grass back where it was. We put the tape up there now. We bought the caps last week. They will be going on at some stage. Yeah, that's that done. So that's one set of leaks we've got stopped. We did have a few more leaks in here on the new bathroom units I've had put in that are beautiful. I think you've seen them on the previous videos. They've all been leaking, so unfortunately the plumber didn't do a great job on obviously and putting those in properly. I think he's just reused old fittings, and as a result of that, the rubbers and that just weren't doing a very good job. So I've managed to find some different elements from Ferguson's on the island. Ferguson's is a decent plumbing supplier on the island. It used to be Woolsey's, if I remember rightly. So I said that right? Woolsey's? It used to be Woolsey's, and now called Ferguson's. Yeah, I got a setup from them, installed the first one. It took me 3 attempts. to get it right, and now it's stopped. So I've now got to get the other 4 done, because they've all been set up exactly the same, and if they're not leaking now, they will at some stage. So I've got to do those. And I'm saying we do have a company called DMS. They're on the island. They're going to be sorting out our whole water pressure system in the cottage and the hot water circulation. So again, without boring you guys, sorry. We currently have a 1-inch mains cold water feed to the house. It's coming into the basement at the moment into 2 very basic filters, into 2 450-gallon tanks, and it's just pressured, normal water pressure to the house. So our cold water's okay. But number one, the tanks haven't been set up properly, so they don't work. They're meant to be there in case we lose water. So we've got to get those set up, and they're not pressurized. So that's going to be sorted. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting a Moen auto connect valve on, which means that if the pressure drops for whatever reason at all, and it's not us, the app will tell you that you've had a drop in pressure. And if it's not you, and it could be an exploded filter, and as you know, we've had a few of those, you can press no and it automatically shuts the valve off. So we've got that going in first. Then it will go into the standard blue filters to take out some of the contaminants. And then it will go into a water softener filter system we bought from the States, and we'll feed those 2 450-gallon tanks. Those 450-gallon tanks then will be our reserve water that we'll feed from all the time. So if we do lose water in the area, we've got 900 gallons of water. Then we're going to have a pumped, pressurized, I think they talked about 20 gallons, but I'm going for a 40-gallon unit, which means that we'd have 40 gallons of pressurized water on a pump system. So as soon as you open up the tap, the pressure drops, but the pressured unit delivers pressured water to that system, and it will carry on until obviously the 40 gallon runs out, but it'll keep on pressurizing. So we've got that going in first. Then the house itself has got a hot water system at the moment fed by solar on the roof. We have no pump circulation going at the moment, so that's also being redone. We seem to have a very confused system downstairs, which we're going to get changed. It was just the last plumber got a little bit confused about what we were trying to achieve. We just want a hot water circulated system. So at any point we open up a tap, there's not instant, but there's reasonably quick delivery of hot water. At the moment we have to wait 2 to 3 minutes. It's just not run right. So we've got a system going in next week as a test to see whether we can get that hot water system circulating right. And if it works the way we think it's going to work, then we're going to install it properly. So that's all going to be done in the next 4 weeks, including setting up and changing all of the pipework. Because all the pipework at the moment is in, but it's sagging, it's just not pretty. So we've got some more industrious pipework going in. We're probably going to go with Schedule 40, which is a thicker pipe. Schedule 80 I would go for, but it's just too expensive on the island. So we're going to go with Schedule 40, which is a good industrial strength pipe, and we're going to colour code coordinate it so we know what's hot, what's cold, and we're also going to diagram all of it so we know where the flows are going, left or right, etc. So that's going to be done in the next 2 to 4 weeks, but the test is starting next week on the hot water flow. That should also give us good pressure in our showers. At the moment you're having to do a bit of a break dance under the shower to get wet, which is not ideal, certainly in a home that's going to be quite high end. So yeah, if there's 2 or 3 people taking a shower at the same time, forget it. So hopefully that will change the pressure. It means that everybody can have a shower at the same time and not have to do that rain dance. So yeah, I'll update you as and when that happens. Other than that, we are where we are really, and we've still got to sort out the issue we have on the roof here. We've got a very simple gutter drainage system up there, but it gets blocked with Casuarina leaves really easily. Chances are if I get a ladder on that building now, bear in mind it was only checked on Monday, Tuesday, that gutter will be blocked and it'll be filling out of water. It's like a bathtub up there. So we've got that little retaining wall going all the way around, which is about 4 or 5 inches. It fills up with water. Now the good news is there's no leak coming through, which means the roof is good. But we've got to put a different system up there to try and stop the elements going down the gutter, but we've got to make sure it doesn't block so easily. Otherwise, at some stage we are going to have a big problem up there. So anyone got any suggestions? I need some form of, I don't know what you call it, like a colander of some sort that goes over the drain. I think they're 4 inch, might be 3 inch. No, they're 3 inch. So I need some form of colander type thing that slots in to the hole that enables, gives me probably about 3 to 4 inches of height. So if there are any contaminants on the roof, they'll block up the sides, but the water can still pour in from above. The moment the one that's up there is just a grill, a little 3 to 4 inch grill sitting on the floor, and it blocks really easy. And then before you know it, you've got a 20 foot by 40 foot swimming pool upstairs. And then obviously we've got to contend with the roof here. So they're the things we've got to do next. So anyway, that's it. I'm pretty much talked out. I hope this is giving you a bit of an update on where we are with everything. Sorry it's been so long, like I said at the beginning of the video. But I'm sure you don't need to see my face every other day. So lovely to see you all. Give me comments below if you don't mind. Thanks again for the people that have kicked my ass and chased me on getting another video up. And I'll give you an update this week when we start tidying up downstairs and start the painting and second fix electrics. All right, so have a great time. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to give me comments below. Thank you.